Good morning and a warm welcome. Sage for Kalkine TV reporting to you live from Sydney, and you're watching the Global Markets Roundup. Let's dive into some key highlights and happenings from yesterday, starting with the US market. And the dollar eased and a gauge of global equity markets fell on Monday despite strong manufacturing data, as investors worried about the potential for renewed US-China trade tensions and rising inflation as oil prices surged to multi-year highs. MSCI's All-Country World Index fell 1% to more than a three-month low. And benchmark US indices retreated on Monday, 4th of October, dragged down by losses in technology and communication stocks amid mixed signals. The S&P 500 fell 1.30% and the Dow Jones was down 0.94%, while the Nasdaq Composite fell 2.14% and the small cap Russell 2000 fell 1.08%. Equity markets saw a lacklustre session despite positive data from the manufacturing sector. On Monday, the Commerce Department said that new orders for manufactured goods rose in August, although new materials and labour shortages remained a major worry. And new orders rose by 1.2% in August, beating analysts' expectations after increasing 0.7% in July. Traders stayed away from growth stocks as Treasury yields rose. They will now eagerly wait for the latest employment data expected later this week. The labour data will be critical as the Fed sets a timeline for dialling back its asset buying program. And energy and utility sectors led gains on the S&P 500 on Monday. However, 9 of the 11 key index segments stayed in the red, with tech and communication stocks trailing at the bottom. Tesla's stock surged 1.64% in the intraday trading after reporting record vehicle deliveries on October 2nd. It delivered 241,300 vehicles in the third quarter, up 20% from the previous quarter. And shares in Facebook tumbled 4.86% after the social media platform went offline, briefly, in a global outage. And besides Facebook, WhatsApp and Instagram also went offline. And futures and commodities are next, and the gold futures were up 0.67%, while silver increased by 0.72%, and copper rose 1.15%. And Brent oil futures increased by 2.52%, and WTI crude was up 2.28%. Over to the bond market now, and the 30-year Treasury bond yields were up 0.31%, while the 10-year bond yields rose 1.05%. And the US dollar futures index decreased by 0.24%. And now we've reached the time for a small break, but do stay tuned. I'll be back with the Asian and Australian market updates.
Tune in to get the latest information.
Whether it's about market movements or the currency graph,
sectoral coverage or industry news.
We cover it all on our news segments.
Be on top of the latest news
with Kalkine TV.
European stocks struggled on Monday after their worst weekly showing since February, hit by a growing number of risks including signs of inflation, elevated bond yields and developers in China's Evergrande's financial troubles. And the Pan-European Stoxx 600 index fell for a third straight session, down 0.5%, holding near 11-week lows hit in last week's sell-off. The London markets traded in a red zone amid the investors' worries regarding the Evergrande crisis and rising inflation, and moreover the oil prices rose to a multi-year high as OPEC Plus stuck to an increase in production outputs. And borrowing costs across the euro area nudged up on Monday as unease that rising inflation could prompt central banks to unwind massive monetary stimulus sooner rather than later weighed on the sentiments among the bond investors. And Germany's 10-year bond yield was 0.7 basis points higher on the day at negative 0.212%, within sight of almost three-month highs hit last week at around negative 0.17%. Japanese shares shed early gains to end lower on Monday as worries over the China Evergrande debt crisis outweighed the positive cues from a strong finish on Wall Street, and while the nation's new premier called for a sooner than expected election. And the Nikkei share average fell 1.13%, with technology and shipping stocks leading the declines. And earlier in the session, it rose as much as 1.16% after 5 straight sessions of losses. The broader topics lost 0.62%. And on Monday, the benchmark index ASX 200 rose 1.3%. A number of ASX-listed companies will be paying dividends to their shareholders on Tuesday, and these firms include Atlas Arteria Group, Cleanaway Waste Management Limited, NIB Holdings Limited, as well as Seek Limited. Gold prices jumped to a one-week high on the weaker US currency, and in addition, the risk-off sentiment in equity markets boosted demands for the safe haven metal. And the spot gold was up 0.3%, and US gold futures added 0.5%. And that's all for now, but do keep watching Kalkine TV for more market updates. This is Sage signing off.